Hi, everybody. I suppose you're here because you want to know if you're an Enneagram 6, and if so, what type of spiritual practice can help you become a better version of yourself. So let's learn more about the 6. So the 6 is the Loyalist. They are in the mind center, they're in the center of the mind triad, which means that their issue is anxiety, just like the 5 and the 7. They have a lot, in fact, they have more trouble with anxiety than any of the other types. So when they talk about the loyalists, it's exactly what that means, that they are loyal to their friends, their family, oftentimes to their faith or to their culture. They just find loyalty just to be second nature. They're always searching for meaning. They want to do meaningful things. They're oftentimes very service-oriented, and they don't look for people to thank them very much. They're glad to do the work. They're very sincere. They're very forthright. Center of the mind center, but paradoxically, and just like the 3s and the 9s, they are the most disconnected from their center, from their minds. And the reason for this is they have this shadow side of anxiety. And in fact, the word I oftentimes use for that is catastrophized. I'll just tell you one example. I had a student some years ago that he was going on an interim to Laos. And I asked him about it. I said, "Oh, what do you think about your trip?" He says, "Well, I think it's gonna be great, but I am kind of worried about the hospitals in Laos aren't very good." He says, "I've checked out all the hospitals in the area, got their address and phone numbers just in case." Now, this is a student, mind you. He's not the leader of the interim. He's just a student. But he had catastrophized all this ahead of time, and he had the list of phone numbers. So that's it. And he was I think he was a 5-wing 6 or 6-wing 5, and he was going to be an engineer. So these types oftentimes, catastrophize. They think of the worst case scenarios, which most of the time don't happen. Now, if you can, work with that, like they're always alert. They're alert for danger. I mean, gosh, we can count on them to protect whoever they're loyal to. So they're incredibly valuable. The shadow side is that their anxiety can just eat other people up. It's just like anxiety overload for not just themselves, but everybody. Okay? They both respect and can feel paranoid about authority. It's an odd thing about 6s. I just had a conversation with somebody the other day in my class who recognized this part and saw that it was kind of contradictory. They respect authority and like to be in hierarchy and like to respect their leaders, and yet they oftentimes will be frustrated by them. So it's a strange thing, that strange relationship they have with authority. And it's because I think that they lack an inner authority, they lack an inner knowing, so they're just kind of always insecure. So they they ask people for their opinion, but then when they get the opinion, they don't like it. There's this kind of inner contradictions to the 6s. And yeah, they're always on, and they can make other people nervous. So I'm going to talk about Alex in a moment. Now, when they're balanced and relaxed, they become like a 9, the steadfastness and love of a 9 when they relax. So the biggest challenge for the 6 is to relax into their type. I just say I had a homeroom mom a couple years ago. She was a 6, so anxiety-ridden Chinese mother who had a son who was a 2-wing 3, which is the host, I should say. And they were just like polar opposites. They just like drove each other crazy because he just wanted to play with his friends, and she was like catastrophizing about his academics, which was true. He had real concerns, but her constant nagging was just driving him to become crazier and crazier with his friends. So I talked to the mom, and she realized, oh, I need to tune down my anxiety, and it really helped the situation. So here's my example. Here's Alex Hill, lovely Alex from last year. She wants to be a doctor or some type of medical professional. She has everything she needs. She's smart. She's loyal. She's very friendly persona. Her one problem is anxiety. She's had headaches ever since I've known her in 9th grade. Now, we picked up a practice for her. That is, she did what I oftentimes recommend to students. That is, writing down. I think we started with things that she was worried about, and she would just rip them up, look at them, decide if they're worth worrying about. When she decided she had enough of it, she would rip them up, let it go. And then that kind of morphed into doing 3 good things about myself, so kind of a gratitude practice. After 2 weeks of this, her family barely recognized her. They said, "Alex, are you okay? You just seem like a different person." And I just zooming with her, she really looked different. She just was such a delightful presence once that worry had been removed from her. So I think this is the biggest issue. I told her this. I said, "You're going to be a great doctor if you can handle your own anxiety issues." She totally agreed. So this is a great practice for her. So what can 6s do as spiritual practices? They can, like I said, write down worries on a slip of paper, gratefulness journal, letters to family or friends to express their feelings to them is also really good. Now, for those of you that have some art interests, some kids love this. That is, when anxiety hits, you can do something called Zentangle. You can just Google this. It's really simple. It's basically doodling for the purpose of like getting yourself out of your mind space and into some other space that's healthier for your emotions and anxiety. It basically just helps you calm that anxiety and focus yourself. Okay, so these are great practices for 6s, and if you're 6, I really encourage you to take them up. So good luck on that.